Honorable members, prayers. Let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and their good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. Amen. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people, and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, I don't have any message from His Excellency the President, and I don't have formal communication for the House. And so we'll move to item 4, which is correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We will start with the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 24th May. I hope you have Tuesday, 24th May, and also Wednesday, 25th May. That's what I have, 2 of them.
Speaker, all we have here are all Tuesday, Wednesday 25th. We don't have the Tuesday 24th. Where is it?
So we start with the one on Tuesday, 24th May 2022. In fact, I should have earlier on apologized for the late start of the sitting. This was due to the fact that we had difficulty in printing the votes and proceedings. There were challenges at the printing department. And then immediately that was surmounted, we had an IT challenge in the chamber. One of the fuses, I'm told, was blown, and they had to work on it. And so even though we were ready to come in, we couldn't have done that. And that is why we are starting today's proceedings rather a bit later than scheduled. And I hope that members will understand. We have to up our game. We need to be able to refresh our equipment. I can see the Minister of Finance here. The Majority Chief Whip has conveyed the message to government that we really need the money to change this antiquated using here. It's now out of upgraded, so take it on board. So we start, as I stated earlier, on the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 24th May 2022, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Yes, honorable member.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. My name appears at 189 on page 4 as being absent, but I was present on Tuesday.
Page 4. One what?
Page 6.
I haven't reached page 6.
Sorry.
You are so eager to take us to page 6. Now page 5. Page 6. Yes, honorable member, your concern is number 189.
Yes, please.
Nyaku Kobina Minta Dr. Tipus North.
Yes, please.
And your position is that?
Sorry?
You said what?
Yes, I was present, but my name appears absent here.
Why? The list that you are reading is present. We show that you were present.
Yes, please.
Yes, it's not under absent. I'm sure you didn't have good sleep last night. Whilst I was at page 4, you were already at 6. And then the issue to you raised is a no issue at all. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11, page 10, sorry, Honorable Blackwell.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, the items summarized at page 10, item number from the addresses of the majority and minority leaders. I recall that the Honourable Minority Leader called for a probe into the Achimota Forest scandal, but that has not been captured. We only have here the cap on borrowing and then an investigation into recent flooding in Accra, which was raised by the majority leader. But the minority leader was passionate about an investigation, a probe into the Achimota Forest land grab. That has not been captured. So I thought that, Mr. Speaker, if it could be added as a key highlight as we summarize their statements on that day. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I think, Honourable Member, you got it right. But actually what they did were not addresses. They were remarks. We were just resuming and they were given opportunity to make remarks, welcome remarks, but not took turns to address the House. No. So please, table office, kindly take note of these two issues and capture properly the issue he raised about the Achimota Forest lands. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the first sitting held on Tuesday, 24th May 2022 are hereby adopted as the true record of proceedings of that day. We now move to the votes and proceedings of Wednesday, 25th May, 2022. Page 1. Page 2.
Right on, sir, page 1, sorry.
Yes, sorry, Honorable Member.
Right on, Speaker, page 1, item 1. The House met at 10 minutes in the forenoon. I think there's an omission there. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, the House met at 10 minutes in the forenoon. It should have been 10 o'clock in the forenoon. So the Honorable member is right. Table of Office kindly take note. Page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10, page 11, page 12, page 13, page 13, yes.
I'm grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, at page 13, item number IV relating to the withdrawal of your good self, the Right Honourable Speaker, and then the second Deputy Speaker taking the chair. The Speaker, what has been captured here is not an accurate account of what transpired. When the first Deputy Speaker took the chair, the House was not suspended. He asked the Honourable Kobi Woyome, who was making a statement on, which you had admitted, he was making a statement on football, to continue with his statement. There was no suspension. There was no... So I thought that the Honourable Woyome continued with his statement. Okay. Or after the... Right Honourable Speaker, I want to withdraw the correction. My attention is being drawn to the fact that though the statement was read by the Honourable Kobi Woyome, there was some suspension on 2 occasions. So, Mr. Speaker, I concede accordingly.
So we move on. Yes, Deputy Minority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking through the votes and proceedings for yesterday, a lot of papers were laid. And one critical paper that was laid was annual report on the staffing positions of the Office of the President for the period January to December 2021. So, Speaker, such a crucial document, including the documents that were laid, it is not for nothing that they should be laid and distributed to members. This is for accountability purposes. But if you count, you lay papers, the Speaker, the mode for presentation of papers is clearly stated in Order 75, that as soon as sufficient copies are available for distribution. The Speaker, I don't know for what reason. We have just 275. Papers are laid, copies are not given to members, we can and we are complaining. The Speaker, I think to be able to hold government accountable to the people who put government there, the performance reports of government must be distributed to members. The Speaker, and MPs must read and make input to be able to assist government to govern as well. But if we come, you say you've laid papers, copies are not made to members, and you think once you have laid it, then we become silent on it, and that goes. This is Parliament, and the business of Parliament must be taken very serious. The Speaker, if copies are not given, then opportunity must be given for those papers that were laid to be withdrawn. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity.
Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I'm in total agreement with my colleague and the passion with which he speaks and he's quoting the right standing orders. I think we should also be a bit measured. I've related to the table office, and they've served us creditably well over the years. And for me, I think this is one off. We can forgive them for this, and they will caution and also make pleadings to the table office that they have to pay particular attention to some of these instruments. It's critically important. So going forward, we want to see a bit of diligence in terms of making, and the orders are clear, sufficient copies available to members. So table office, you should take it in good stride and make the necessary amendment going forward. Speaker, so I'm in total agreement with the observations made by my colleague.
Honorable members, I think we have to go through a pipeline to see where the clock is. Whether it's the table office or the document, even though laid, was not made available to a table office. And so we'll go through that and see. Well, usually, I know when they are made available to a table office, they are immediately photocopied and distributed. And so we'll look at that. But the committees themselves should be able to follow up to make sure that these copies are made available to members. Because it's a report from the committee, and the leadership of the committee should ensure that members truly have the copies of their report. But the intention of bringing the report is for the leadership to lead the House and to be able to convince the other members that are not members of the committee to accept the recommendation that they put in their report. So they should be interested in the members actually getting copies, understanding the contents of the report, and making meaningful contribution after being persuaded to support their recommendation. And that's what will lead the House to adopt the report and then take a decision on the matter. So it's something that we'll have to go through, and truly papers should not be laid and members are not given copies. That definitely is wrong, and it's against the rules and standard orders of the House. So please, leadership of committee, table office, kindly take note and let this be a thing of the past. Thank you, Minority Deputy Whip, for drawing our attention. Honorable members, we now move to page 13. That's where we were. Page 14. Yes, page 14.
Right, Mr. Speaker. Item number 10I at page 14. The name of the Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs and Cooperation for the Republic of Mozambique, Veronica, has not been accurately captured. So if it can be corrected accordingly. The Honorable Atifosi is saying Veronica Bucket, but I mean, she's not the one that Veronica Bucket was named after. So it should be corrected accordingly, Mr. Speaker.
Well, I thought it was the Portuguese rendition of Veronica. That O thing seems to have something on top of it. I don't know. But we'll check and see what the position is. Yes, please.
Yeah, right, Mr. Speaker, you are right. Is the O with that apostrophe above it. But what we have here is it looks like a double O. It should be one. It should be one O. And as a speaker, while at it, I also observed that the description associated to H.E. Alberto J. Mutu Kutuku, member of the Assembly of the Republic of Mozambique. So, of Mozambique is missing, so that they can run through for the others, just to complete it. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Table of Office, kindly take note. Page 15. Honorable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the votes and proceedings of the second sitting held on Wednesday, 25th May 2022, are hereby adopted as the true records of proceedings of that day. We move on to official reports. I have in my possession the official report of Tuesday, 22nd March 2022. Any corrections? Yes, Honorable Ablakwa.
So, right, Mr. Speaker, at column 35, the second paragraph, the first Deputy Speaker, I'm not sure has been captured accurately. I would like to take the next statement while the clerks at table confirm for me whether I have sufficient numbers to take a decision. So confirm and then numbers to take a decision. So if the corrections can be made. And the paragraph following that, Mr. Speaker, the first Deputy Speaker is quoted to have said that the next statement is by the Honorable Members for Agona East. It should be member for Agona East, the Honorable Queen Star, Mami Poki Asoya. So if that correction could also be effected. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, table of Office, kindly take note. Any further corrections? Honorable members. Yes, Chief Whip of Minority Caucus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, mine is not a correction. Mr. Speaker, I'm looking at the official report. The date is Tuesday, 22nd March 2022. Mr. Speaker, we went on recess on the 5th of April. And Mr. Speaker, after over 1.5 months of break, one will have expected that when we resume, you have almost all the official report up to the day we close ready. Now we have 22nd March as the most current that has been printed. We need to find out from the clerk at table whether something is preventing them from printing the official report, because by now we should have all the backlogs, so they'll be able to clear them so we can be more current with the current official report. So I thought that we needed to draw your attention so that the clerk and his team will do well to let us have the backlog so that all of them can be looked at before this meeting goes deep into the sitting. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Member, you recall that I earlier on make some remarks about the delay in us commencing proceedings today. And I mentioned that we were meeting some challenges at the printing department. Almost all our machines are down except one. And the previous parliaments have made efforts to try and get replacement. The Parliamentary Service Board is still working on those reports. We're not getting the necessary financial support to buy new ones. Even though the board has given approval, we are still sourcing funding, and it's not there. What many of you don't know is that even us at this time, we don't have any releases from the Ministry of Finance for us to run Parliament. So we'll be running Parliament on some areas of last year. It's not easy. And so sometimes we see your request for me to approve for you to do some things are declined. It's not because I love declining your request. It's because we don't have the wherewithal to fund those operations. And I think the Ministry of Finance should not treat Parliament like a ministry or MDA. I will emphasize this again. This is an arm of government. We are not part of the MMDAs. We have even been written to reduce our budget in some areas by 50%. Yes. And so if they want Parliament to run aground, they should let us know. The Speaker is not ready and prepared to be blamed for inability to get Parliament going on just because we are not getting the necessary funding. Others may have some hesitation in saying that I don't have. Yes. Majority Chief Whip. Yes.
Speaker, you are spot on in terms of the numbers and the arrears we are all having, and the Speaker is speaking on our behalf. So I identify with you. And as Speaker, you know, on any day I will do your bidding in things like this that will go to solidify speaking to the welfare of Parliament as an arm of government. But Speaker, we also need to concede. Colleagues, would you listen to me? Maybe you should listen to me in silence. Speaker, while we are lamenting, we also need to concede that the government has also shown an attitude to engage. And several times we have engaged at that high level. So, Speaker, not to belabor the point, I want to assure you that we will do the needful, everything and anything within our means to engage further and ensure that ultimately we'll be able to resolve these matters. Speaker, taking the matter further, there are also some statutory payments that have been outstanding for a while. The refreshing news is that the Finance Ministry is just about making payments in terms of NHIA, Get Fund, and Common Fund to ensure that we ultimately meet and deal with the arrears. So, yes, it's a genuine challenge, and it's not limited to only our country. Globally, we have a challenge as a country, as a continent. But the good news is that the government is ready to deal with them. So that just rest assured. In the few weeks ahead of us, all of us will witness the massive changes that we are all desirous of seeing. Yes, it will happen.
Yes.
So I thank you for the space granted.
Honourable members, I don't think this is open to debate. It's a statement of fact that are made, which has been considered by the majority chief whip. So we don't have to debate it further. We will only solicit your solid support to get these things through. Let's move on. Let's adopt the report first. Honourable members, in the absence of any further corrections, the official report of Tuesday, 22nd March 2022 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings of that day. Yes. May we now move on to the next item, which is item 5, statements. Honourable members, but before we do that, it's important that I acknowledge the presence of one of our traditional leaders. Very, very important traditional leader is with us. And she is in the person of Nana Ekwa Ukwa the First. She is the Guamanhima of Afija Kwabre North constituency. That's where she comes from. And she is not alone. She has come with quite a number of her entourage, made up of some elders of her stool. Honourable members, on your behalf, I want to warmly welcome her and to commend her highly for finding time to come and be part of what happens on the floor of the House. We need many more of such leaders of our society, traditional, spiritual, and civil society, to come and be part of the proceedings of the House. The public gallery is there. If our attention is even drawn, we'll give them the most distinguished place of dignitaries for them to adorn the House with their retinue and to learn and later on share the feedback to members, their representatives, for us to improve on the proceedings of the House. So, distinguished Queen Mother, you are warmly and respectfully welcome to the plenary of Parliament. Kindly extend our sincere greetings and commendations to your subjects and to assure them that we are together in this fight to rid away ignorance, poverty, and disease. from Ghana. You are mostly welcome. Honorable members, we now take item 5, statements. Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, with respect, seeking your kind leave to vary the order of business for us to, instead of item 5, we take item 10 and 12, as was discussed.
Honorable members, I may have to suspend sitting for just a few minutes and attend to some urgent matter. 10 minutes, not more than 10 minutes, I'll be back. So we can take the items that is drawn our attention to. My deputy speakers are not present now in the House. The first is going to chair a committee meeting to consider some of the referrals. And the second, I think, is out of jurisdiction. So please, in about 10 minutes, I'll be back. The House is accordingly, sitting of the House is accordingly suspended.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, honorable members, I thank you for your indulgence. Majority Chief Whip, yes.
Speaker, with respect, I had earlier sought your leave for us to carry the order of business, and you did oblige. So if we may start from item 10 on page 3 of today's order paper. Speaker, with respect.
Yes, minority front bench.
Mr. Speaker, we have no objection because the matters were discussed at pre-sitting. So,
Honorable members, accordingly, we move to item 10 on the order paper, which is motion to be moved by the chairman of the Finance Committee. Yes, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that this Honourable House adopt the report of the Finance Committee on the request for parliamentary ratification of the Charter establishing the Eastern and Southern African Trade and Development Bank, TDB Charter. Mr. Speaker, the purpose of the request is to secure parliamentary approval and ratification of the Charter so as to enable Ghana become a member state. This would spur trade between Ghana and the operating sub-regions of the bank, which include East Africa, South Africa, and the Franco-Lusophone Africa. It will also help Ghana to strategically leverage on its hosting of the African Continental Trade Area by increasing intra-African trade through the deployment of the bank's trade finance instrument to increase production, expand trade, create jobs, and reduce poverty in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, your committee observed that Ghana's membership in the TDB would also open Ghanaian entrepreneurs and financial institutions and investors to the substantial growth opportunities offered by the bank. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the committee recommends to this House to adopt this report, approve the request, and ratify by resolution the Charter establishing the Eastern and Southern African Trade and Development Bank in accordance with the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. Respectfully submitted, I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Motion moved. Any seconder? Yes, ranking member of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to second the motion. In doing so, Mr. Speaker, I would like to advert the House's attention to the fact that we have been called upon to ratify a charter that establishes the Eastern and Southern Africa Trade and Development Bank, TDB. Mr. Speaker, we were told that in arriving at the conclusion that Ghana should join the Trade and Development Bank of Eastern and Southern Africa, even though, Mr. Speaker, we are not a member of the Eastern and Southern Africa, there were two options. The first option was for Ghana to consider accessing the TDB with some benefits. And, Mr. Speaker, the second option was to maintain the status quo and decline the offer to join the Trade and Development Bank of Southern and Eastern Africa. Mr. Speaker, we were told that if Ghana is to join the Trade and Development Bank of the Eastern and Southern Africa,
it will come with some benefits. And the benefits will mean that Ghana will be able to access money for the purposes of infrastructure development, being its loans. As we in doing so, we were told that Article 3 of the Charter allows countries that are not member states to still join through institutions or through through a special application. In doing so, government of Ghana has decided to assess the membership of the Trade and Development Bank of the Eastern and Southern Africa through the Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund. Mr. Speaker, we were told that some of the projects that the Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund is seeking to get money from is the Accra Tamamoto Way of about $600 million US. Mr. Speaker, that can be found in page 6 of 8. Mr. Speaker, at that meeting, I raised the issue that we have heard that there are issues relating to the Tema and Accra Tamamoto Way, and therefore, if the ministry or Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund is going to seek permission or is going to seek approval of money from this company for the purposes of constructing the motorway, there's the need for Parliament to be in the know. The Speaker, because it has come up strongly, the issue of contract that has been awarded, it has come up strongly with the issue, the quantum and the value for money issues, and there's the need for us as people's representative to be able to know the extent in which they are spending the $600 million US for. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund accepted the call and assured us that if they are to go ahead in getting $600 million US, they will indeed let us be aware. Speaker, apart from the Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund, they may be able to also assess the services of the Trade and Development Bank of Southern and Eastern Africa for other projects. We were told that currently there are other projects that they are discussing with them, but we don't have the details. But the one that we were told that is quite eminent is the $600 million US for the purposes of Accra Tamamoto Way. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Motion moved and seconded is now for the consideration of the House. I definitely will be looking at my rights if you have people who want to contribute, and then after that I go to the left before I come to leaders. But I think 2 from each side of the House, or should I make it 3? 3 should be sufficient. 3. Leadership. 3 from each side of the House.
Speaker, if you don't mind, we'll make it 2, with respect. Yes.
All right. Yes. Honorable Atachia.
I'm grateful to the Honorable Speaker to contribute to this very important motion. Honorable Speaker, ratifying this charter points me to a very important mandate of the bank, and this may be found at page 3 of 8. And with your kind permission, I would like to read. TDB's footprint covers 22 member states with a total GDP of United States dollars 864 billion and a total population of 657 million. TDB finances and fosters trade, economic integration, and sustainable development and advisory service. Some of TDB's sector areas include transport, energy, real estate, industrial, telecom, agribusiness. I don't know whether it's agribusiness, but it's agribusiness and financial services. Honorable Speaker, my point of interest is real estate. Honorable Speaker, the argument has been made that if we want to push affordable housing to the dimension that the nation will benefit from, it's going to cost us a lot of money. And it's one of the areas that will raise our debt stock. That argument has been made by those who control the purse of this nation. Honorable Speaker, I beg to differ. If you look at a country in which the deficit is ever climbing, and it is the only undertaking that if you should roll affordable housing, you'll be able to rake in money. With the intangibles like free senior high school and other areas of the economy, it's later in time. But with real estate, Honorable Speaker, immediately you take good money and you apply it well. And then we also want to say there's the necessity to leverage on the pension fund, because the law creating SNAP says that one of the rightful ways to apply the money is in the area of real estate, statutorily stated. We will sell houses to our good people on the back of a credible mortgage arrangement founded on their own money called the pension fund. And then we rake in profits to pay off the loans. So I am of the view that probably the ratification of this charter will afford us the opportunity to take some good money from the bank for purposes of affordable housing rollout, because of the mockery of our people not finding decent places of abode. I looked at the financial commitment of this joining the charter, that the subscription fee is in the neighborhood of $5 million United States dollars. Honorable Speaker, this may be found at page 7 of 8, and that is only 20% that should be deposited, and then 80% is callable. It is my humble view that this will not break our neck financially, and it is eminently sensible that this august House gives parliamentary ratification of this charter for us to rake in the benefits. And I pray that when it is so ratified, we should take optimum advantage of this financial arrangement, especially in the area of real estate, for our people to have good housing facilities. I'm grateful to you, as always, for your kind indulgence.
Yes, Honorable Kwame Abuja.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I write to speak in support of this motion to ratify the charter establishing the Eastern and Southern African Trade and Development Bank, of which Ghana intends to play a role through Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, if we treat Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund properly, it could become our sovereign fund in a way. A lot of people don't realize that when you go through Terminal 3 and Ho Airport and other things today, part of the funding of those projects came from the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, our own money. So we can do a lot. The sad thing, though, is that for a period of time, we're not actually paying any money into the fund. So now we are trying to look for external funding into it. But hopefully, we can draw sustainable funds into this and be able to use it. Mr. Speaker, my main concern is on page 6 of 8, where the report talks about TTB has expressed an interest in participating in the financing of a $600 million Accra Tamamoto Way project. Mr. Speaker, there is no project of $600 million for Accra Tamamoto Way. Mr. Speaker, I have said time and again that that contract signed by the road minister, our colleague, on the 16th of December 2020 is a dead contract. Why, Mr. Speaker? In the first place,
A clause in that contract says, and I quote, clause 7, that if the contract has not become effective within 3 months from the day it's signed, that contract is dead, unless the parties decide to do something with it. Mr. Speaker, why has the project not started since?
The phrase "is dead" is yours. It's not part
Well,
of that.
okay, it's not dead. It's not that this contract. Either of the parties can decide to walk away without any legal or financial recourse. And Mr. Speaker, why is that? Because at the time the ministry entered into this agreement, it was intended that the so-called developer was supposed to find money and do a PPP. When that failed, the government unilaterally went and entered into a sole source agreement. Mr. Speaker, with Motor Angels. Now, government has entered into this agreement with a foreign entity in clear breach of Article 1815 of the Constitution, because Motor Angels is a foreign entity. That agreement never came to this House. And instead of allowing the contract to die its natural death, based on the clause 7 of the article, so that we can open a new bid and allow people to come on board, the government is keep holding on to this contract and keep renewing the date since 16 December 2020, and hoping that they will go and find money into Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund and allow Motor Angels to come and do this project. Mr. Speaker, I read to you when the bid for this project was reviewed. The engineers who reviewed this bid, and this is the first point they made after reviewing the bid. And they said this, Mr. Speaker, the tender price is 39% above the engineer's figure. For those who don't know what the engineer's figure means, it means that when an entity decides to procure a service or goods, they have their own figure. When the engineers say that this figure is 39% above their figure, it means that, Mr. Speaker, on top of my head, this project is $222 million above what it should be. That amount of money can build 2,960 cheap compounds. It can build over 3,006 unit classroom blocks. It can definitely build 260 kilometers of road. Why is it the case that the ministry told us that this is not yet a contract, yet it finds expression in our expression of interest in joining this TTB bank, Mr. Speaker? We must be curious about it. And it's not about Kwame Abuja and anybody else. Is it the case that when the engineers say the project is 39% overpriced, is it the case that the ministry does not believe that the engineers are right? Mr. Speaker, I am happy for us to approve this ratification of this agreement. But I don't think the government should cajole Parliament to say that, indeed, when we came to Parliament to ratify this, we told you that we were going to take $600 million to build a motorway. Because as far as we are concerned, you do not have a legitimate contract on the construction of the motorway. And in any case, Mr. Speaker, if government of Ghana is ready to go and borrow the money and come and give a contractor, Mr. Speaker, the top 10 road building contractors in this country, Mr. Speaker, can build a motorway. It's just concrete and steel. It is not rocket science. So why do you go and get a company which has got so much bad news in Malawi? In fact, they were kicked out of Malawi for all sorts of things, Mr. Speaker, and keep them in Ghana and go and borrow money that Ghanaians will pay to come and give a foreign company, whilst Ghanaian road contractors are owed over 10 billion Ghana cedi, and we can't pay them. The day you find the money to do this work, you want to give it to a foreign company. Mr. Speaker, as a citizen of Ghana, I find this to be very unpatriotic. That is why I will support the approval of this loan, this ratification, so that we can be able to get some money to the Ghana Infrastructure Fund to do things that matter to us. But I am totally opposed to this rendition on page 6 of 8 that suggests that there's a so-called project worth $600 million called Accra Tema Motorway. There is no legitimate contract as such. I will encourage the chairman to humbly expunge that sentence from the report. Humbly expunge that. to give us comfort that we are not approving an illegality because, Mr. Speaker, we want the road to be done. But for me to wake up and realize that there's a possibility of us throwing away at least 13 district hospitals, 2,600 chip compounds, or 3,600 possible 6-unit classroom blocks, because as the contract, and this is part of the contract that the ministry themselves signed, and the valuers of the contract says that this bid from Water Angels is 39% above the engineer's figure. Mr. Speaker, who on earth would sign this if you are a true Ghanaian? Mr. Speaker, we'll discuss whether that contract is here or, is right or not on another day. But I'm saying that for my comfort, for the comfort of this House, the chairman should expound the rendition that suggests $600 million for Accra Tema motorway from this report to give us comfort that this side of the House is not approving anything that is against the intention of the fund. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity and encourage colleagues. If it is expunged, I will support it. But without that, Mr. Speaker, I feel this is a very bad idea. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honorable members, I will give opportunity to the chairman to respond to the request of the Honorable Ranking Member of Roads and Transport Committee to expunge the first paragraph of the report as captured at page 6 of 8, which he has quoted. You know, it's just 4 lines paragraph. Chairman, what do you say to that? Well, why are you trying to...
Speaker, with respect, I think that I also listened to my colleague and Speaker, but we cannot expunge all the 4 lines, and the reasons are not far-fetched. Speaker, what he said, he based his argument on a contract. But if you read the 4 lines, it's not limited to only the 600 million Accra Tema motorway. It's also talking about the renewable projects, talking about solar and other agribusiness projects in the GIF's pipeline. So probably, we can distinguish the part that is limited to the 600 million related to the Accra Tema motorway, but the other part of the sentence must stand. It's got to respect.
I wanted us to hear from the technical person. The chair we put there, was this a ranking member? Then leaders could then come in. Let's hear from him what you just stated. Have they got the figures to be able to isolate the one dealing with only the motorway, but capture the rest? If they do, then your point, we will look at it together and take the decision. So, Chair, please go on.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first, I think this is a motion for the ratification of a charter. That is what is really before us. The paragraph my colleague refers to is information being provided us. Now, Mr. Speaker, if you read that paragraph carefully, it has nothing to do with the concern my colleague has raised. My colleague is speaking to a contract he says is unlawful. There is no contract mentioned here. The fact that there's an interest in 600 million Accra Tema motorway extension project does not mean it is necessarily with a particular contract, the contract he has referred to. And the committee has no information to the effect that this 600 is for the contract that he has concerns about. So if we were to expunge this and let it be suggested to, say, GIF or to government that Parliament does not approve of the 600, it means that project cannot be done at all. If he has concerns with the contract, I think we must find the appropriate means to deal with it. There's no contract mentioned in this paragraph, and I'll request, Mr. Speaker, that we leave it as it is. The second is that Mr. Speaker, this is a report of a committee. If this information was provided, it is a matter of fact. And we have captured facts as they were presented to the committee. If me as the chairman, I want to expunge fact which has been presented to a committee, I'm not sure I'll be doing the right thing. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable John Jinapo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am a member of the Finance Committee. And indeed, like the chairman said, our job is on the charter. So why don't we restrict ourselves to the charter? Why do we want to stray into a so-called motorway project? Why did we not talk about Bekwai interchange, Asafo interchange? Why did we decide that as a committee, we specifically want to deal with motorway? And you see, you are not just talking about motorway. You are saying that of the circa $600 million Accra Tema motorway and extension project. Mr. Speaker, this is specific. Some of us, all of us have done some level of project work. To even quote the figure 600 should tell you that some detailed work has been done. You are not just saying Tamamoto Way project. You are saying a 600 million, which means that some work has been done, it's been quantified, and something has been determined. Mr. Chairman, if we take this paragraph out, how does it harm the statement? It is harmless. I think that we should do the needful. Let's take it out, proceed, and deal with the substantive issue. Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
Well, the chairman raised the issue whether it's proper for him, the chairman, to come in trying to lead the House to consider this charter. He could, on his own, take up something that has come from the committee, without it, the committee now going back to consider it. You know, because he has the mandate of the committee to come and present the report, which is what he has done. And that report, that area you're talking about, was part of the facts that were presented to the committee. So we were just capturing the facts. But the $600 million is not only talking about the Accra Motorway and extension project, but also a couple of renewable projects, and is there wind and solar, and agribusiness opportunities in GIIF's pipeline. So that is why we're talking about disaggregating the figure so that you know how much is for Accra Motorway. But that's not shown here. How much for these other projects? It's not shown here. Yes, ranking for finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for emphasis, the Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund was specific. They said $600 million for the Accra Motorway and its expansion. So the $600 million as captured in the report is not for the two projects. It is only for Accra Motorway. Speaker, our concern, Speaker, now
I agree, but that's not what the report says.
Mr. Speaker,
if you want some correction, that could be done.
In fact, Mr. Speaker, probably the report was not clear enough. But the amount they gave us at the committee was $600 million for that report. I have not signed the report. It's the chairman who signed the report, for your records. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I think it's straightforward. What the Honourable Ranking Member for Roads is trying to say is that he has no concern with us ratifying the charter. But his concern is that if care is not taken, Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund will go and borrow the $600 million and create impression that Parliament has approved it. But that cannot be the case. So we approve the charter, let them go and do more work on whatever they want to do and bring it back to us to approve. Period.
Yes, I am tempted to agree that this paragraph is not really very germane to the issue that is before the House. The issue before the House is on a charter. And so let's approve the charter and move on. Now, the fears that are being raised are real, because we have heard, and members even on this floor have tried to use such adoption of reports and approval of some resolutions to say that there have been technical approval of some documents. And even sometimes say that, oh, you've already approved it when you were considering this. Those are the fears that they are raising. And this is because of our experience. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with the request being considered to by the withdrawal of that paragraph from the report of the committee, and let's move on. So I may have to urge the committee members to go with the House and permit the chairman to humbly withdraw that paragraph as not part of the report, for us to just adopt the report and approve the charter by ratification. Yes, honorable members. Chairman. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, it's just to seek your guidance. Will it be sufficient to just take the figure 600 out so that the project is there? It may be financed from anything, but the figure is taken out.
Well, if you want to be mentioning projects, there are so many other projects you should have mentioned. Why are they not also part of the report? This charter has nothing to do with specific projects. Okay. It's just us approving the charter to enable us to be a member of that group, which will open the door to a number of opportunities for us. It will go beyond that. I think it's a very good idea. It's fresh air that is being blown to the economy, and we should embrace it. So please kindly withdraw that paragraph and let's move on.
Okay, I'm duly guided upon your guidance, Mr. Speaker. The second paragraph on page 6 of 8 is expunged from the report. Thank you.
Honorable members, based on the guidance of the leaders and the debaters ruled out in the House, I will really direct that the answer department should do away through withdrawal. It's really the first paragraph of page 6 of 8. Well, the one on top is coming from the next page. So that's the first paragraph. That should be withdrawn from the report. Secondly, I will proceed now to put the question on the motion. Honorable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, as many as are in favor of the motion, say aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. The motion is carried. We have accordingly adopted the recommendation of the committee, and that recommendation is calling on us to approve the request and ratify by resolution the charter establishing the Eastern and Southern African Trade and Development Bank, TDB charter. This we have done in accordance with the constitutional provision. It is so adopted and ratified. Honorable members, we now move to item 12. Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, you have given the rightful directives. I was just notifying you that we may have to suspend the resolution to that motion and then go on to item 12. We are suspending all resolutions until further notice, Speaker. So yes, we go on to item 12.
Exactly what I did, because
yes, Speaker,
I can see on the floor that you are not properly constituted to take the resolutions. Item 12.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to move that this Honorable House adopts the report of the Finance Committee on the financing agreement between the Government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Minister of Finance, and the European Investment Bank for an amount of 75 million euros for the COVID-19 health response Ghana project. Mr. Speaker, the objective of this facility is to finance some of the health issues arising out of the pandemic that hit this country and the world in 2020. Mr. Speaker, the terms of the facility are clearly indicated under paragraph 4 of your committee's report. The committee looked at it and considered that it's a very reasonably priced facility and will go a long way to help provide the health infrastructure and the related services that this facility seeks to make available to the people of this country. The committee therefore respectfully recommends to the House to adopt this report and approve by resolution the agreement between Ghana and the European Investment Bank for the 75 million euros in accordance with Article 181 of the Constitution. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, motion moved. Any seconder? Yes, ranking member for finance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second this motion with a lot of chills and headache, with a lot of cold feet, Mr. Speaker. I say this because, Mr. Speaker,
you will be given the opportunity to make your points known. At the end of the day, the decision will be taken by the House. So please patiently listen to the ranking member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I said, I'm seconding this motion with a lot of cold feet and chills, and maybe, Mr. Speaker, headache. Mr. Speaker, I say this because at the committee level, we were constrained.
Actually, I had to sit up because I couldn't understand seconding a motion with cold feet and chills. Because this is a situation that we refer to as an oxymoron. These clear contradictions in terms. So I don't know what that means.
Mr. Speaker, it means I'm going to give you a lot more explanation as to why I'm developing the chills and cold feet.
Even though you are seconding it.
Even though I'm seconding it. So it is, I'm seconding with a lot of information.
If you are objecting to it, you can't second it.
Okay.
When you second a motion, basically the motion is to support what the chairman or whoever has moved the motion. If you are opposed to it, your seconding is I'm agreeing with what has been presented. But when you are disagreeing, you don't second. That is my understanding. If I'm wrong, please, you can wrong.
Mr. Speaker, I second this motion because, Mr. Speaker, our job was to look at the terms and conditions of the loan. The terms and conditions of the loan. Mr. Speaker, the terms and conditions of the loan is that we are going to have a 42.5% grant. 42.5% grant for this loan. Mr. Speaker, we were told that the maturity period is 20 years and a grace period of 5 years. Mr. Speaker, again, the indicative interest is 0.927%, less than 1% per annum. Mr. Speaker, as part of the requirement of the Finance Committee, our duty was to look at the terms and conditions of the loan and to satisfy ourselves if indeed it's a good loan or a bad loan. On that basis, Mr. Speaker, the loan itself, Mr. Speaker, I have nothing against the loan because, Mr. Speaker, it meets the minimum concessionality of 35%. This loan is 42.54% grant, making it a concessional loan. Mr. Speaker, in fact, and to be honest, this is one of the cheapest loans that we've seen in the last 1.5 years. But Mr. Speaker, my concern has to do with the use of the proceeds. My concern has to do with the use of the proceeds. Mr. Speaker, I say this because if you are to refer to the document before us, the committee's report, we were told that this loan again will be used for the purposes of COVID-19 response. Mr. Speaker, this is coming at a time that the government has failed to account to this August House appropriately on how much money we have used the COVID money for. Mr. Speaker, that I believe is a matter we should all be interested in. Mr. Speaker, the COVID-19 expenses is piling on and on and on. Today we've been called upon to borrow another 75 million euros, adding to the original amount that this country has already spent on coronavirus. So, Speaker, I think that the time has come for this House to be given the opportunity to vet the COVID-19 expenses so far. Mr. Speaker, apart from that, we were again informed that the government had two options. First, an option to fund the the expenses that this money was going to be used for, from our own consolidated fund. Or, Mr. Speaker, go for this loan for the purposes of executing the project, considering the fact that it is a cheap loan. Mr. Speaker, again, we were told that they can also delay the execution of the project before an alternative funding mechanisms are arranged. Mr. Speaker, the committee was informed that since the European Investment Bank is giving us a concessional loan, more or less a cheap loan, government of Ghana decided to go for the loan, because if they had decided not to go for the loan, they may end up borrowing from the domestic market at very expensive levels. So, Speaker, today our debt levels are increasing. The central bank since last Monday announced to all of us that Ghana's nominal debt is 391 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, this amount excludes the Sino-Hydro loan. This amount excludes the Get Fund Dachi bond. So, Speaker, this amount excludes what we call the energy sector levies bond. So, Speaker, if you are to add all of them, our debt is 409 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, I won't be surprised. The rate at which we are going will end the year 2022 with a public debt almost about 90% of our GDP. So, Speaker, we are in difficult times. This government must immediately place moratorium on new loans. The loans are becoming too much. The options are there. Go and look for other ways of getting money and not always be resorting in borrowing. So, Speaker, yes, I know it is tempting because it's a cheap loan, but that may not be the option. The option is to mobilize your domestic revenue and to use them appropriately. So, Speaker, we were told that when we pass e-levy, it will be panacea for all of our problems. E-levy has been passed. Why are you borrowing again? E-levy has been passed. So, why are you borrowing again? We were told that e-levy will cure Honorable Ababa. Why are you borrowing again? So, Speaker, clearly, there is a problem. Let them stop borrowing. If we're in a hole, the first thing you do is you stop digging. Stop digging. NPP government, stop digging. You will dig and dig and dig until we can't find Ghana anymore. So, Speaker, this is where we are. The borrowings are too much and the government must put an end to it. The loan, I agree, is cheap loan. It's tempting, but please be careful, because the rate at which we are going, Ghana will be in trouble. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Chief Whip.
Speaker,
Majority Chief Whip, yes.
leadership has consulted. And Speaker, we get the sense of the House. And hence, Speaker, before you put the question, we want to stand this motion down. And then, and I heard my colleague, Speaker, I heard one of the loud statements made by the Honorable, my respected ranking member, is the Finance Ministry's expectation from the Finance Ministry to come to this House and do a proper account of how monies received have been spent so far. And that is a valid observation. It's a valid observation. So to that end, Speaker, to that end, leadership has consulted and we will stand this down until further notice. And Speaker, the House is also not properly constituted. So, Speaker, yeah, the House is not properly constituted to take that decision. So, Speaker, we make this legitimate appeal and request. And Speaker, I'm waiting for your kind wisdom and direction in this matter. Then we can proceed.
Honorable Emmanuel Bejira.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know the majority chief who has made a proposal to you, but it is into your bosom to either agree or disagree. And thank you very much for giving the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, having said that, Mr. Speaker, this motion to approve a sum of 75 million euros for nothing but COVID relief, COVID-19 expenses, Mr. Speaker, it is far too fetched, and I believe that those of us on this side will not approve this law. Mr. Speaker, why won't you approve this law, Mr. Speaker? We all know that even the president has asked that we should not wear our masks. The president has given us full, immunity against COVID. We are walking around. There's no COVID in this country for this government to borrow so much as 75 million euros just for top. Mr. Speaker, therefore, I want to urge all my colleagues that we vote for this vote, we vote and disapprove this loan as we are waiting for your. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Dafiemako.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I heard the majority chief whip say on the floor a while ago that the House is not properly constituted. Mr. Speaker, I want clarification. Is it really a matter of quorum? I want to be guided, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Honorable, yes, Kwame Abuja.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I rise to speak in response to the motion moved by the chairman and seconded by the ranking. Mr. Speaker, as a matter of fact, when I looked at the rendition on the front page, and I opened page 7, which is paragraph 5 of the report, the headline appears to be a bit at variance with the real reason for this. Mr. Speaker, I nearly died of COVID. I was saved by God and the good medical officers who took care of me, and I'm ever grateful to God and the medical staff. So whenever I hear COVID, for me, it is not a joke. It was a fine line between me being here or 6 feet under by now. Mr. Speaker, when I read the project interventions, 1, increasing the existing infrastructure capacity for COVID patients through the reconfiguration and adoption of hospital and other healthcare facilities. Mr. Speaker, COVID has exposed us as a country. We were not ready for it. In Accra, only few hospitals could actually take in patients and look after them. So they are saying this loan would be used to reconfigure some facilities. Mr. Speaker, maybe Parliament could even request the ability to have an extension or something here as well, in case another pandemic comes. Reinforce the healthcare workforce preparedness, training, equipment, and reorganization. Is it necessary, Mr. Speaker? I do think it is necessary. Where I have problem is to say that part of this money will be used to procure PPEs and other things, Mr. Speaker. We bought billions of cedis of PPEs and other things, and I don't think we should use any part of this money for things like that. But I totally agree that we should go and reconfigure existing health facilities and other things. Reinforce oxygen production capacity in the country. Mr. Speaker, when I was hospitalized at Ghana East, Mr. Speaker, I saw relatives going out to buy oxygen in tanks and bringing to patients because there was a day it actually ran out. I was put on a mobile oxygen plant, Mr. Speaker, because when that facility was built by private sector, they didn't even add the oxygen production unit before COVID came in. So, Mr. Speaker, when I hear that we need to actually build more oxygen production units across the country, Mr. Speaker, for me, it's a choice between life and death. Mr. Speaker, I believe, for me, these items, and the last one, Mr. Speaker, when we had COVID, some of us took issues with the fact that we had Noguchi, and the Ghana Airport Company accepted results from airport clinic when you want to do your PCR test. Yet, we signed a contract with an entity which Honorable Okujetu Ablako and everybody talked about to be doing COVID testing at the airport. Now they've taken their money and have gone away. We want to borrow money to expand. Mr. Speaker, I plead with government. If you're going to use part of this money, go and expand Noguchi and expand the capacity of airport clinics. So in case we have such problems in the future, we don't need another person from Frontiers to take millions of dollars from us, but we can do this ourselves, Mr. Speaker. For these reasons, Mr. Speaker, I am tempted to feel that though the captain says for COVID, what I see in terms of the intentions, some of them, as a former COVID patient, I am tempted to believe that some of these things, and colleagues, it's not funny, I saw colleagues the next bed to me who are no longer here with me. So me, I always say that when I hear COVID, it is not a joke. It's those of you who had small sneezes and got better, you take it for granted. For me, you know my story already. So, Mr. Speaker, for these reasons, I will encourage my colleagues, let's reconsider our position on this and ensure that when, as the leader says, if they bring it back, he's already said they want to withdraw it. If they bring it back, if they take out the things that are things we can do, but if we're going to expand and create capacity and build oxygen plants for all of us, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage colleagues to reconsider it. Mr. Speaker, that's my word.
Honorable members, we have a motion to adopt a report of the committee. And that report is talking about the financing agreement between the government of Ghana and the European Investment Bank for an amount of 75 million euro for COVID-19 health response Ghana project. The motion has been moved and seconded. The request, after some contribution, is for us to stand down the motion. Now, he's not asking for withdrawal, because when you look at order 81 and 82, Once it's been moved and seconded, it's now before the House. We should have been seeking for the leave of the House to withdraw. But he's not talking about withdrawal. He's talking about what? Us standing down the motion. From the interventions of members, I see that there's the unwillingness of members to go with the committee until the monies that have been expended on COVID-19 are accounted for. In principle, from the contributions, members are not against getting such as described by the ranking member for the committee, cheap money. But first, account for what has been given to you before we go ahead to even approve the cheap money. We are not happy and will not support government to go in for domestic loan where it will be more expensive. We are prepared to support government to go in for such cheap money. But could you kindly tell us how you have utilized what we have approved? Honorable members, the people of Ghana have been blaming executive arm of government for some of these things. I think it is Parliament that should be blamed, not the executive. Well, we have all it takes to make sure that the right thing is done. It's Parliament that is weak and reneging on its duties and functions. And so I will complete my submission by directing that the Minister of Finance should appear before this House and account for all the monies that we approve for the utilization for COVID pandemic. It is only then and only after that that this motion may find expression on the floor again to approve or disapprove by this House. I so direct. Honorable members, I have another commitment because, you know, we have with us here senators and members of Parliament from Canada, and we have a meeting with them exactly at 2 on the dot. It's almost 15 minutes to. I will plead with leadership. If there's anything for you to continue, I'll ask the First Deputy Speaker to take the chair. If not, then I'll proceed to adjourn proceedings for the day. Yes, majority.
Speaker, in total support, I will move for the adjournment of the House to tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the forenoon. I so move, Speaker.
Motion move for adjournment. Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion for adjournment. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I want to add that even though you gave a direction looking at the wisdom of this House, unfortunately the Minister of Finance was not here to sense the temperature. So while seconding this motion, I entreat the government chief whip to convey this directive to the finance minister before the technical team do the appropriate one. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second the motion.
Honorable members, before I put the question, clearly when directives are given, by the speaker, we have the processes, the framework to carry out those directives. And so the clerk, honorable member, you put on your mic and you are just talking to everybody. The clerk and the table office will definitely do the proper thing by officially communicating to the minister the exact words of the directive. And we expect the minister to comply. If not, you know the powers of this House. they will be applied with full force. So we don't have to burden the majority chief with the task of having to convey this matter to it. That is informal. That is not formal. This has to be put in writing. So that is what will be done. With this, I now put the question. Those in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, before I adjourn the House, I have seen that a number of you are now not complying with the dress code of the House. There are some dresses we call informal, and there are dresses we call formal. The dress code mandates and enjoins us to come to this House formally dressed. They use the term decent. But some of the things that I see you wearing are singlets. And when you wear a singlet into the House, you are naked. And therefore, you have difficulty in catching the eye of the Speaker. Leaders, please take up your role and make sure that the proper thing is done, particularly the whips. That's why you are there. That's your area of focus. Maintain discipline and order. I've seen it for some days now. I will not recognize any naked person in this House again. You'll be seen as a stranger and you'll be walked out of the floor of the House. With this, the House stands adjourned till tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. The House is adjourned.